The economic crisis has brought to the forefront the importance of incentives in motivating people. The response of people to incentives is more complex than simple rational models predict. And I am sure that our speaker today will bring valuable insights on the topic of how to account for the human factor in designing incentive schemes.
Our lives are basically the sum of lots of small decisions. And so I think understanding the economics of everyday life is actually really very, very important. And there's no one better to explain it than Uri, and so I'll let him go ahead and do it to you right now. Thank you. Uri.
To a first approximation, people are rational. Even Mr. Simpson is not that stupid, he's rational. So sometimes, we need to understand what motivates him. We need to understand the incentives that actually work on him. He responds to incentives, we just don't always understand them. The first experiment, it was done, I did it with Gary Charnes from UC Santa Barbara. And we wanted to see what happens if we'll pay students to go to the gym. The question is, what will happen after we stop paying them? We found that if we paid students to go to the gym for a month, they were much more likely to go to the gym after that. Okay, so that was the first encouraging result, that you can get it. Some people did follow-ups on that, and also in our experiment, we found that the effect remained basically until the next break. Once they have summer break, winter break, whatever, it breaks. At least it was some kind of, somewhat encouraging to see that you can use incentives to change people's behavior. Here's my understanding of how behavioral economics can help you in this. First of all, you cannot leave it for your decision. You have to commit. Make a commitment, make a rule, and make it fun. And the reason that I relate it to behavioral economics is that if you think about the two players in your brain, the now and the later, the tension between them, understanding the tension between them, understanding this dynamic inconsistency, understanding that you would want to overrule your decision now, later, I think that's the sophistication that we can get from behavioral economics. The second example that I want to talk about is money for nothing. Money for nothing is something really important because I think that many times incentives are just used in the wrong ways. And with education, for example, we know that we can convince someone, I can convince my son to read the book with the right incentives. We'll give him some more time on the iPad or whatever the right incentives are. But it's much harder to convince him to enjoy or to make him enjoy reading. Right? That's not something that we know how to do. We are very far from that. And that's what we want to achieve. And use the incentives for something that actually motivates people. The last example is about a more positive way of using incentives. So to show that we can use behavioral economics in order to motivate people. And it's about regret and lotteries. In Holland, they have the Dutch postcode lottery. And the postcode lottery, postcodes in the Netherlands are about 10 homes. And basically, every week they choose one postcode. And if your home was in it and you bought the ticket, then you get a fancy car, fancy BMW, or a large prize. And if you didn't buy a ticket, then you have to explain to your wife why you didn't buy a ticket, right? Because it's not very nice, right? So they work on the regret. You know that you would have won. Finding that we can use behavioral economics, we can use some insights from psychology, actually to work in the real world. What really interests us in this book, and what we try to do, is consult into companies. What do you need to do how do you need to change your price? What will happen when you change your price? So it's all interactive. Everything that you do about incentives, changing incentives, is really understanding how people are going to react to the incentives. If we understand this and we can find ways not to teach the people to be better, that's what economists love to do, and we fail doing it, and rightly so, because we shouldn't just educate people. In some cases, we are right and we can try to educate, but in other places, we can listen to people and see what they want and try to give them what they want, a solution that will solve everything.
Good. Well, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.